Hey, good afternoon to you. It is 4:07 here, News Talk 105.9 WMAL, where we're making sense of the news. Coming up this hour, Aaron Sibarium from the Washington Free Beacon is here as one of the left's most treasured authors. Well, it turns out she's been stealing the work that's in her books. Aaron's got the details on that. Why is it left to the Free Beacon to report on all of this interesting stuff? Makes you wonder. Miranda Devine from the New York Post. She's a good reporter, too. She'll talk to us about Mark Zuckerberg's admission that he's been meddling in elections. And you can join us at 888-630-9625, 888-630-WMAL. We've got some news today, as we always do. We've always got something new to tell you. President Trump has posted to Truth Social this afternoon that he has reached an agreement with the radical left Democrats. I love how this starts. I'm telling you that there's never been a guy like this in American politics, and there never will be again someone like this in American politics who reaches this level of success, at least. I mean, there's a lot of imitators, but never quite like this guy. I have reached an agreement with the radical left Democrats for a debate with Comrade Kamala Harris, he writes. It will be broadcast live on ABC Fake News, by far the nastiest and most unfair newscaster in the business, on Tuesday, September 10th, in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. The rules will be the same as the last CNN debate, which seemed to work out well for everyone except perhaps crooked Joe Biden. The debate will be stand up, and candidates cannot bring notes or cheat sheets. We have also been given assurance by ABC that this will be a fair and equitable debate, and that neither side will be given the questions in advance. No Donna Brazil. Harris would not agree to the Fox News debate on September 4th, but that date will be held open in case she changes her mind or flip-flops, as she has done on every single one of her long-held and cherished policy beliefs. This keeps getting better. A possible third debate, which would go to NBC Fake News, has not been agreed to by the radical left. God bless America. All capital letters, exclamation point. That's Trump at his best. There he is today on Truth Social saying his understanding of the debate procedures. Now, of course, it may very well be that Kamala Harris's campaign puts up another effort to get out of this thing. Remember, their campaign has been insisting, oh, no, we have to negotiate what the debate looks like now. We have to negotiate whether or not we're allowed to use cheat sheets. We have to negotiate what times the microphones are on. And Trump is reiterating here the point that Kamala Harris's campaign was trying to make a couple weeks ago, or so we thought, which is, oh, no. You agreed to certain terms. You will be doing these debates in the exact manner in which you negotiated them with Joe Biden when he was the candidate. That was the Kamala Harris position a couple weeks ago. And the reason they brought that out, that was their position, was because President Trump was asking for 3 debates. He said, give me 3. Give me one on Fox. Okay, fine, I'll do the ABC one. Okay, fine, I'll do an NBC one. But give me 3. I want 3 attempts at you. And Kamala Harris's campaign said, no, you already agreed to something. You've got to do what you agreed to. Now they're once again trying to change the rules. It slips away like sand through your fingers. It just disappears. So here is President Trump saying, okay, look, we've got a settled deal. I'm doing ABC. And that's all there is to it. And Comrade Kamala Harris, she's agreed to this, so that's all there is to it. But this will not be the last word on this subject. Kamala Harris's campaign is very desperate to either get her out of this debate or to so rig the presentation of it that they can walk away with some sort of with some sort of claim that they have achieved victory. I was telling you yesterday that what they really want here, the reason why they want to change the microphone rules, is because they want Kamala Harris to be able to say in the middle of the debate, I'm speaking. And if they can get enough girl boss headlines out of the debate, it's a victory. It doesn't matter that, it's not like they're going to dwell on her policy flip-flops or anything. What's she suddenly for building a wall? There's not going to be that. It's going to be, look at Kamala Harris take down the misogynist Donald Trump. She said, I'm speaking. Girl bosses, go. That's the mindless coverage that you will be served. It's mindless. It doesn't help you in any meaningful way. It patronizes women broadly. It acts like that it's important to have a chip on your shoulder and that men are the worst. It's all the worst kind of stupid, brain-dead coverage that our media has been serving us for years. So this is as predictable as the sunrise. If Kamala Harris has a quip that she practices and she delivers it to Trump, boom, headshot. Oh, I shouldn't use that. Sorry. Not in this context. The left actually is trying to take him out. They are firing headshots at him. But boom, girl boss. Boom, girl boss. So that's what's going on. Also in the campaign, we've got the announcement this week that both RFK Jr. Friday and then subsequently yesterday, we get Tulsi Gabbard. Democrats are all saying, these Democrats, the ones who still love our country, are saying, I'm with Trump. And why is that? Why are they with Trump? Well, they see the writing on the wall. They can see what's happening with the so-called Democratic Party because, well, they're not that interested in democracy. They have a contempt for it, a deep contempt, so much so that they're trying to prevent political opponents from even appearing on ballots. And to the extent that any of them are mounting opposition, they want to imprison them. That's what they're trying to do with Trump. And so their fascist behavior has driven Democrats who actually love the country away from the party that for so long they were identifying with and towards President Trump, because they have more faith in him. There's some audio I want you to hear. This is a couple of things here. RFK Jr. did, I think, a great, so obviously I thought he did great throughout the weekend. His announcement last Friday was just so good. We played so much of that audio. He just did an interview with Tucker Carlson, and he was talking about all the ways in which the levers of government were used to censor the American people. And he's right at the center of this because the Biden administration has been targeting him. When he raises questions about the COVID jab or anything, the Biden administration has gone out of its way to hurt him specifically and to stop his message from getting out. And here he is talking about how this all came to pass, because there's some lefties are on the internet, they're saying, well, wait a second. You're alleging that the Hunter Biden laptop story in particular, you're alleging that Trump censored that information because it was the FBI under Trump that censored the Hunter Biden laptop discussion. And they're right about the timetable. President Trump was the president of the United States. But remember what was actually happening. The FBI was, first of all, subverting American domestic politics, and they were using their power to attack the sitting president of the United States, and they were doing it at the behest of the Biden campaign. These are not secrets. This is known. Antony Blinken, now the Secretary of State, kicked off the effort to use the government to censor the Hunter Biden laptop story. Here's RFK describing it.
When Hunter Biden's laptop suddenly became an issue about a week before the debate, and Antony Blinken, who is now the Secretary of State, and who was then the director of President Biden's campaign, went to Gina Haspel, who is the head of this director of the CIA, and said to her, we need help with this. She then got 51 CIA, current and former CIA officers to sign a public letter, which they published, I think, in the New York Times, but they published it somewhere.
I just want to add one detail, and this perhaps could be a correction. He may have a better grasp on it than I do, but I think that Antony Blinken went to instead Mike Morrell, who's the former deputy director of the CIA. But the effect is the same. He sought active CIA officials and former intel officials all to sign off on a letter that declared that the Hunter Biden laptop story was a fake, that it was Russian disinformation.
That said that Hunter Biden's laptop was a Russian hoax that was part of a Russian disinformation effort to tamper with the presidential election campaign. So you had the CIA, which is forbidden by its charter,
exactly,
from involving itself in any American politics. And you had 51 top officers, former and current, who now do a disinformation campaign against the American public to tamper with the election. while accusing the Russians of tampering with the election.
And you wonder why people like RFK are saying, I'm not a Democrat anymore. I can't be with them. I can't stomach that. Remember how Joe Biden used that on the debate stage? This was orchestrated by his campaign, and he pretended like he just found out about it.
There are 50 former national intelligence folks who said that what he's accusing me of is a Russian plant. They have said that this has all the five former heads of the CIA, both parties, say what he's saying is a bunch of garbage.
You mean the laptop is now another Russia hoax?
That's exactly what. Is this where you're exactly what.
This is where.
So of course President Trump laced into him for that, but that was Biden on that stage, and of course the media ran with it. The media, Politico, runs this big story. 51 intelligence officials say it has all the markings of Russian disinformation, and the big tech companies censor everything. We're going to talk about this coming up with Miranda Devine in more detail because Mark Zuckerberg is now copping to it. Oops, our bad. We shouldn't have done that. We were misled by the FBI. It turns out at the behest of the Biden administration, of the Biden campaign rather, and then eventually the Biden administration. We'll get into that. But you've got these Democrats, former Democrats, who are saying, I can't be with this party anymore. Did you see there's a volunteer, there's a Democrat convention volunteer named Evan, a lady named Evan, who went to the DNC, and she was horrified by her experience. She thought she was going to go there and have a great time, lots of joy with Kamala. She didn't walk away with that impression. Listen to her.
When I first got into politics, I thought that Democrats were the party of the people. And at the DNC this week, I felt like I was in a building with the most elite and out-of-touch people in the entire world. It very much felt like, let's just have a huge party and forget all of our problems because the vibes are brat. When I was there, I didn't feel any connection to real America or the place that I come from, which is the Midwest, Kansas City, Kansas, and Missouri. I didn't feel any connection to the people that I know right now who are struggling to buy their groceries or to pay their rent. The people who want to know what both candidates are going to do to materially affect change in their lives. And when I was there listening to the speeches, I felt myself feeling mad because I didn't hear anything about the economy. Definitely not in Kamala's speech, and not very much in the others as well.
Exactly.
Instead, I heard generic platitudes, things like joy and respect and integrity, and what does that even mean? Let's make the military the most lethal in the world? I thought I was part of the anti-war party. I thought I was part of the party that fought for the underdog, that championed working people. When and how did we just become the party of academia and affluence? Because that's what we are right now.
Her eyes, you can hear them opening. Her eyes are opening. Meanwhile, RFK, in that same conversation with Tucker Carlson, he actually broke down the economics of all of this and who voted for Biden versus who voted for Trump. I'll play that for you in just a moment. You're going to want to hear this. A great insight from Bobby Kennedy. It's 420. All right, who are the Democrats these days? Well, a former Democrat called RFK Jr., well, he describes them here. This is a good way to get the data on this question.
You see on so many issues, you've had an inversion. The Democratic Party has become the party of the elites. It used to be the party of the poor and the working class. In fact, there was a study that came out just recently that I saw that showed that 70%, that the people who voted for Biden own 70% of the wealth in this country. The people who voted for Trump own 30%. And so
I believe that.
Right. So you're seeing this realignment happen where the elites, where Wall Street, where the big tech, big pharma, the big banking houses are all now Democratic. And that the working class, the middle class, the cops, the firefighters, Sean O'Brien, head of the Teamsters Union, spoke.
Good guy.
A great guy, great guy.
There's something really meaningful happening here. And a lot of this is the product of a rigged system. That's the reason it looks like this. It's not a free market. It's not free market capitalism. It's not an open market. It's a crony market, where you have these companies with these deep relationships with the government. They capture these agencies, they enrich themselves, and they stop anybody from trying to break up the cartel. And that's why they so badly want to imprison Trump. So badly. So 70% of the people who control the wealth in the country vote for Biden. The other 30% of the wealth votes for Trump. Now, I know this won't come as a surprise to you, but to hear the numbers, it really lays it out, doesn't it? It's like, gone are the days of the country club Republican in the ways we think about this. And we used, what was the phrase we used to use? Limousine liberals? I don't know. People don't really use limousines anymore, do they? It's a more subdued black car service now. Not as many stretch limos out there. Those are for prom, but still, limousine liberals. That's a perfectly good phrase to describe what's going on here. Richard is calling in from Manassas now, line 3. Richard, good afternoon. So you're on the Vince Gallahney Show.
Hey, thanks for taking my call, Vince. New term, suburban socialists is what they are. Not limousine liberals, or suburban riding socialists. But so, the problem that Democrats have is they don't know anything. That's the reason why that woman was so disheartened, because she was expecting to hear policy. They don't have policy. They just have emotion and Trump hatred. So that because they don't want to talk about their own policies, because they don't really have any. They just have these emotional responses. Tim Wall saying, you build a 20-foot wall, I'll build a 20 or 30-foot ladder factory.
Yes.
Because he doesn't understand how obstacles work. A military man doesn't understand how obstacles work. It's to catalyze. So you go to the port of entry. So you don't try to cross in the middle of the desert with a 30-foot ladder.
I know. And it's funny. Now, all of a sudden, Kamala Harris is saying, build the wall. So I don't know if the two of them have spoken. Although I did see a report today that Tim Walz is not doing media, just like Kamala Harris. The reason he's not doing media, he doesn't even know what the policies of the campaign are. So he can't do interviews. What a complete scam. May it not work. Coming up, Aaron Sibarium joins us from the Washington Free Beacon. We'll talk to him about someone else who's lying on the American left. Hey, good afternoon to you. It's 4:35 here, News Talk 105.9 WMAL, where we're making sense of the news. Coming up top of the hour, we'll speak to Miranda Devine of the New York Post about Mark Zuckerberg's latest admission that, he did meddle in the 2020 election, and yes, he did censor you during COVID, and he says he's not going to do any of that anymore. We'll ask Miranda Devine what she thinks about all of that. And you can join us at 888-630-9625, 888-630-WMAL, COVID. Hey, you remember back in 2020, it wasn't just COVID, it was the George Floyd riots were going on. And during the so-called racial reckoning, a lot of lefties were turning to their new Bible. It's called White Fragility. It was this book that they were all going crazy over. It was written by a white lady called Robin DiAngelo, who insists that every white person is a racist. And if you say you aren't, that's more evidence that you are. You remember that? Well, it turns out, to the extent that you can call any of this scholarship, she appears to have stolen some percentage of it from minorities. This story, I don't know if it can get any better than this. I'm grateful to the reporter who broke it, though. Aaron Sibarium is a reporter for the Washington Free Beacon, and we're glad to have him back on the program. Aaron, nice to talk to you again today.
Great to be here.
All right, so if I understand your reporting correctly, the all whites are racist lady stole her work from minorities?
Yeah, pretty much. She in her doctoral dissertation, which is actually the publication in which she originally used the phrase "white fragility," in that dissertation, she plagiarizes several scholars, including 2 Asian Americans, and not just 1 or 2 sentences, but pretty long chunks of text.
So you did the infamous Free Beacon textual analysis, and I'm looking at some of the graphics here. It seems crystal clear. This is almost exactly the same language. How close was it?
Pretty close. In some cases, she changes 1 or 2 words, and in a sense, that's almost more damning, right? Because if you just copied it verbatim, maybe you just copy pasted, forgot the cite. It happens. if you change a couple words, that shows that you were aware of what you were doing
Yes.
and were probably trying to hide it. So this is all about as clear-cut an example of plagiarism as you get.
So her entire career is predicated on this idea that whites have to have humility about their own internal racism and have to be more open to the words and thoughts of non-white people. Isn't that right?
Yes, that is right.
So this is one of the many reasons why this is a hysterical piece of journalism, because what you've exposed is that she actually ran roughshod over minority scholars and stole their work.
Yeah. She stole language from minorities. That is what happened. Yes.
Now, what is she?
Amazing.
What is she saying about all of this? Is she admitting that once again she is racist?
She hasn't said anything. It's interesting, she seems to not want to take any accountability, as she might call it. Highly problematic. I don't know.
For sure. And then the people she stole from, what are they telling you?
Most of them didn't reply to me, but one of them did say, yeah, this looks like plagiarism. So, yeah, I haven't really encountered anybody who says, oh, no, that there's nothing to see here. This isn't a problem. My guess is that a lot of people would like to ignore this story because it's just one more reminder of how freaking crazy the country went in 2020 when it decided that out of all the possible authorities on race relations in America, this lady was the one who should be catapulted to the top of the New York Times bestseller list and paid $40,000 for half-day workshops on white fragility.
She was. I don't think we can overstate how central she was in 2020 to this conversation, because she really became in many ways kind of the Pied Piper of the left. I mean, she was really controlling the conversation in a big way, wasn't she?
Oh yeah, and even after 2020, her work has been featured in all sorts of diversity trainings. I mean, she's everywhere. I know there's this talk about has wokeness peaked, and whether or not it has.
Yeah.
I mean, she's still her ideas and material are quite prevalent in a lot of these DEI trainings. Whatever else liberals might like to think.
Yeah, that's true. And so when I think about that era, to the extent that there was, quote, scholarship to support the craziness, it was written either by her, Robin DiAngelo, or that guy Ibram X. Kendi, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. She actually, I think, in 2020 may have been ever so slightly more influential as measured by USA Today's bestseller list, where her book narrowly beat out Ibram Kendi's. And it is funny, which is funny because he's a black man and she's a white woman.
Yes, who, by the way, is also pretending to be somebody else. His real name is Henry Rogers. He goes by Ibram X. Kendi to make himself seem so cool. All right, well, Aaron Sibarium, thank you for exposing yet another fraudulent representation from the left, as you are so good at doing. Thank you, Aaron. Good to talk to you today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
That's Aaron Sibarium, the Washington Free Beacon, ripping Robin DiAngelo apart inappropriately. So I have seen a number of people point out, like, why does it keep on falling on the Washington Free Beacon to do all of this reporting? Well, one, they have a bunch of talented reporters, so they're the ones who are capable of doing this. But two, because the legacy press would never do this. Never in a million years, for political reasons. This is one of the saints of the left. Robin DiAngelo? Oh, no. We can't scrutinize her at all. Of course, she is a force for evil in the United States. She's trying to... First of all, she's a preacher of self-loathing. She's trying to convince white people to hate themselves. And she's sowing division between races, and then she's profiting off of it, being paid... What was what Aaron said just now? $40,000 for a half day's work? It's pretty good. Pretty good, if you could do that. And and I remember, 2020. I have non-political friends, just people who, people in everyday life. I remember one friend in particular. She approached me and she said, "I was reading this book." She's not even a white lady, but she thought that it meant that she had internalized racism. She's like, I read this book and I became convinced, like, I didn't realize that I had all this internalized racism. I feel so bad about that. I was like, what's the book? She said, White Fragility. I said, pause. All right, don't go any further. I mean, you can read the book if you want, but I'm going to send you all sorts of important literature for you to read on this subject. And before you knew it, I was sending, I think Matt Taibbi did an amazing breakdown of how stupid this book was, how mindless, this like pseudo-intellectual horse crap. I sent her John McWhorter's piece. He's a linguist at Columbia University. He wrote a great takedown of how awful and divisive this is. He's a black man and a really talented writer, Democrat, but just a fantastic writer who says this is all poison. I just sent her all this stuff, and she came back to me and she said, "Thank you for sending that to me. I feel so stupid that I fell for any of this." And I said, "Well, thank you for being open-minded about all this. And you're not alone. There's a lot of people who fell for this crap because at its core, you know what this is? This is a hustle of decent people. It's a hustle of decent people. They're trying to wrest money out of your hands, out of your wallet, out of your bank account. You got to pay the tithe, You're a decent person, and you don't want anybody to think you're indecent. So when somebody with this much power comes along, is in all these DEI workshops, is being paid by all these corporations, comes along and goes, you're actually a bad person. Oh, no, I bought the book. No, I see the point you're making. Yeah, I understand. Oh, I'll change my life. Blah, blah. It's just, it's a hustle that I think is falling apart. Aaron Sibarium just said it a moment ago, that there's some people who believe that wokeness, quote, peaked. I do. I really do. I think a lot of people have had their eyes open to it. Is corporate America a little slow to catch up on this? Well, yeah, that's for sure. Too many of these moronic corporations are still pushing racial division in their various HR trainings and all sorts of garbage. But I think that enough Americans are waking up to this now. They're saying, no, this is stupid. What are we doing here? It's very bad for the country, and we shouldn't be doing this. And we got a lot of problems that we should be confronting. We shouldn't be creating new ones. Just wild. Your ability to join the program is when you reach for your phone, you can dial 888-630-9625, 888-630-WMAL. I want to go to the phones now. I've got Peter calling in from Waldorf on line 2. Peter, good afternoon, sir. You're on the Vince Coglianese Show. You wanted to talk about this debate between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump?
Yeah, hey, how you doing, Vince? It's Skeeter.
Oh, hey, Skeeter.
No worries, man. I think you're half right on your analysis. You're spot on part of it. I agree that the part of the premise is that she would like to be able to play the girl boss. But I think that the second double barrel effect, which is equally important, is that anytime he cuts in on her or tries to step on her or tries to get a word in when she's speaking, it's going to be portrayed with look how mean he is, and he's just a bully, and he can't let her speak, and he's a bully, and that's going to be the other side of the coin. It's going to be both. It's a double-barrel shot. You can't win either way.
Yeah. No, we've seen this before, haven't we? Remember the debates that he had with Hillary Clinton? It was the same stunt. Oh, look at him. He's a bully. Look at him, menacing, walking around the stage. They were both standing there. There was an entire news cycle dedicated to how many inches Donald Trump was away from Hillary Clinton. That misogynist pig. And once again, what does that do? It infantilizes women, and it suggests that you should not treat them the same way in a political contest. And I think that most women who are engaged in this, who love our country and who actually want to see things get better in it, they wouldn't allow themselves to be treated that way. It's embarrassing that Kamala Harris would sign up for a program where she's treated as a child.
Yeah, but it's a double standard. They don't care. They don't know how to be embarrassed.
I know.
We've learned that too, right? They don't know how to be embarrassed.
Totally right.
Yeah, but keep up the great analysis. I appreciate your show, my friend. Take care.
Thank you, Skeeter, calling in from Waldorf. Appreciate that call. I've got Ed calling in from Fredericksburg. He's on line 3. Ed, good afternoon, sir. You're on the Vince Coglianese Show.
Hi there. I was thinking about the debate situation.
Yes.
And Kamala wants, and her people want her to take control and to showcase all of her positions.
Yeah.
and overspeak Trump and so forth and so on. So on Trump's team, we've got now RFK Jr., and we also have
Tulsi Gabbard.
Tulsi Gabbard probably wouldn't fit into what I'm proposing. I'm proposing that technically Kennedy is still on the ballot in certain states. So technically he could be a member, be a debater. Trump could debate. They could invite Kamala. Kamala won't show up, so they use the many recorded sound bites that she's made over the years to intimate her position.
Okay, I like this. I like this idea. Yeah, let me modify it if we can, as we're having a working session here. So Ed, I think that RFK would just complicate it. Let's leave him out for the debate stage. So we put Trump up on a Fox News debate stage, and then and as a substitute for Kamala Harris, we just play clips of her actual positions through the years, and the host of this. My hunch on this, unless they allow me to do it, which I would love to do. I'd love to do it in an audio format. We'll do it in a video format. That'd be perfectly fine. But outside of that, if it's going to be on Fox, I think Jesse Waters should do this, because I actually think that would be perhaps the funniest presentation of this. Just play the Kamala clip. Pretend like you're actually conversing with her. Ask her a question, have her give you a stupid Venn diagram answer, and then turn to Trump for his response. This could go really well, Ed.
Well, I think that... I will say I think that the presence of Kennedy would actually be beneficial for the reason that it's going to attract the unhinged greenies and things like that, and it's not going to harm Donald Trump.
Sure.
It's actually that's not. I mean. But I would love to see somebody move that up to the RNC and make that happen.
It could be so fun. I think that's kind of a clever idea. Thank you, Ed. I appreciate that. And we'll agree to disagree on the RFK component. But I will say that RFK, we're supposed to see a lot more of him in the weeks ahead. The Trump campaign plans on making him, at least according to all the available indicators, a feature on the campaign trail. And I think he's been a pretty talented spokesman so far. So that might be a really good thing. All right, hold on. More of your calls in just a moment. All right, let's go to line 4. That's where we find Antonio calling in Silver Spring. Antonio, good afternoon to you.
Hey, how you doing, Vince?
Good, sir.
I was calling in because I just wanted to tell you I'm a 40-year-old African-American in Silver Spring. I was born in D.C., and for years I've been a part of, the Democratic Party, believing in what, the cause was. And I can honestly say, since I've been listening to your show for over a year, y'all have opened my eyes about the things that's been going on with the Democratic Party. A lot of it is just crazy how that they're able to manipulate the people by the masses. And I really appreciate what y'all doing. I love what y'all doing. It keeps me educated of what's going on, and I can't even thank you enough.
Well, that's a really nice thing to hear. Antonio, can you tell me, is there any specific thing that had you kind of reel back and go, whoa, I was thinking about this the wrong way? Was there any moment where things kind of changed for you?
Man, a lot of it has to do with, the abortion stuff, the putting the female things in the boys' bathroom. I'm a father, and it's just I really don't want my son to have to go through those type of things, and it's very scary to see how they can manipulate and it trickles down like it trickles down, man.
Do you have a young son?
Yeah. I have a young son, man, and I'm so scared for him to go to a public school.
Being a parent is a radicalizing experience, isn't it? You have a kid, and all of a sudden, you take a very sincere inventory of your entire life, and because you care about what the future is, don't you?
Absolutely.
It's a big deal.
Absolutely, man. I really wish that there were others that I'm around that was truly aware of what was going on. But man, it's hard to talk about politics with other people when they don't see the same thing that you see. You know.
Yeah.
It's crazy, man. Like a lot of us been duped. And when you finally actually open your eyes and really see that these people aren't, they're not talking about nothing. They're just regurgitating the same things that they've been saying, and they're not even acting on it. They're not even moving on it.
And then telling us to fight amongst ourselves. No, you're right about that. Duped is the right way to put it. Played. That's what I constantly think. We've been played. Antonio, thank you for that call. Really gratifying to hear that that this show could play at least a small part in your life. And stay in the fight, man. Glad to have you with us. Thank you, Antonio.
Thank you.
All right, it is time for us to go to the news. But I tell you what, Miranda Devine joins us from the New York Post next. Don't miss it.